Good morning, and welcome to Morning Movement and Mobility. I am Henry Byer with Strong for Life. Sorry, I said that kind of weird. I'm Henry Byer with Strong for Life. It's nice to have you here. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here in Colorado, and we have about an hour's worth of stretching and mobility work for you. I think Saturday is a great day to spend a little bit more time because you probably have more time on a Saturday or a Sunday to stretch more. While during the week, maybe you don't have quite as much time. During the week, we do 30-minute sessions. And this hour session is just a nice way to get in some more stretching, more mobility work, so that things that you may have missed during the week, you can catch up on during this Saturday session. And so today we're going to expand what we normally do during the 30-minute sessions and just cover a little bit more material so that you have in your mind, what a comprehensive mobility and stretching session might look like. And of course, there's so many different things that you can do for mobility work and for flexibility and for movement that even in an hour session, there's no way to cover everything. So it's just how it is with fitness, is you have to make choices about what you're going to work on and sort of where you're going to put your focus, and do that for a little bit. And then after that, you might switch to something else and focus on something else and do some maintenance with whatever you're doing. It's just there's no way to be able to do all the stuff all the time. So you have to pick and choose and test out different things and find out ultimately what works best for you to help you feeling good and healthy and ready to go, because that's what this is all about, right? Being able to continue doing all the stuff you love in your life and feel confident and competent in doing it, and that your body is going to respond, and you know how your body's going to respond, and that it's going to perform up to a level of satisfaction for you that will bring you enjoyment. Now, I'm noticing that my clock here is showing me a low battery thing. I plugged it in, but the plug came loose, so close that. All right, there we go. So I want to say hey again to Instagram viewers and Facebook Live viewers. Also on Saturdays, I have YouTube Live viewers as well. So hi to you folks too, and to you replay viewers who might catch us later on. So being that it's a Saturday, we are actually going to start with our standing like a tree meditation, and we'll do this for 2 minutes, and it's just to bring us into this hour of self-care, looking after ourselves, making sure we're taking care of your body. Take care of your body, it will take care of you. So the standing like a tree meditation is you stand with your feet about hip widths apart, toes pointed straight ahead. From having your knees pretty much locked out, just bend them gently or slightly, and then your hips, you just want to gently squeeze your glutes to level out your pelvis. You want to imagine that your spine is being stretched, like it's being used for a tug of war. So it's getting lengthened and stretched. You want that feeling for it. Shoulders down. You're going to be breathing through your nose into your abdomen. So you want to be doing belly breathing. And then you're going to hold your hands out in front of you, gently touching your fingertips. And it's as if you're holding a beach ball in your hands. Very light, just a nice, comfortable position here. And we will go for just about 2 minutes. Nice, easy breathing. The other thing is your eyes are open, but they're just soft gaze. They're not focused on anything in particular. And if you notice any tension or pain or anything like that, just take note of it. You don't have to do anything about it right now. Just be aware of it. Let your body use its intelligence to take care of the things that need taken care of. Keep stretching that spine, making yourself taller. Do your best to keep your weight evenly distributed between both feet and over your entire each of your foot. Like the weight that's on your foot, make it even on the foot. Then grow just a little bit longer here. Okay, so take your hands, put the back of your hands in the small of your back and just rock back and forward just a few times. And then go side to side. Just sway the hips. And now make circles with the hips. Go one way at first, and then switch it up and go the other way. Awesome. Shake that out. Shake that out. And now we're going to do some arm swing. So feet about hip widths apart, toes pointed straight ahead. And we swing our arms, do about 5 in a row. And then on the 5th one, we do a double knee bend. So 3, 4, 5, double knee bend. 1, 2, 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 3, 4, 5, double knee bend. All right, good. I forgot to turn on my lights. I don't even know if these, oh, there's a little bit more light with having those on. Okay, so now we did those arm swings. We're going to do our wet noodle arm swings where we're driving with the hips here and just letting the arms swing as if they're wet noodles. And we make sure that we lift our heels just a little bit to protect our knees as we spin. We're looking straight ahead, so our head is staying stable, and we're moving our spine and hips and arms and getting a nice twist in the spine here. And we do about 25 of these. All right, that feels pretty good for that. And always have to readjust this because always gets this little lump in it. All right, so now we're going to do we haven't done this one for a little bit. This is our second arm swing exercise. It's like a 3-count exercise. So the arms swing back, and then they come up to this 90-degree angle at the elbows, and then that's 2. And then on 3, you extend through your ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, elbows, and wrists, almost like you're taking a basketball shot, except your hands stay basically level with your face, with your eyeballs. So it looks like this. And there's just a little pause at the end of the extension, and then you drop down into just a slight bent knee position and repeat. And we do 25 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Awesome. Do some across the arm swings, across the chest arm swings here. When you do this, make sure that you alternate which arm's on top. So left, right, left, right, left, right, right. All right, that's good. Shake that out. And then again, we'll go back to the wet noodle arm swings where we're rotating here. The front arm comes up, sort of taps you on the collarbone. The rear arm swings around and hits you in the lower back on the side of the spine about where your kidneys are, left and right side. And as always, when you're doing this, you want to start slow, small motion, and let the motion grow as you warm up and your muscles are willing to go and the tissue is willing to go further in the direction that it's moving, increasing the range of motion. Awesome. Shake that out. And then this is one that we generally do on our Saturdays, is just a reminder to pay attention to your hands. We use our hands so much during the day, picking up things, eating, using utensils, writing, typing, driving, whatever it is. Our hands just get used so much. And so much of the time, they're in this grasping position. So this particular exercise is really here to remind you that your fingers are not just for grasping it, you can extend them, and they need to go through that full range of motion in order to stay healthy. And so widening your fingers as much as you can, and then closing them, and all those joints are getting worked while you're doing that. And just do that until you start to feel that tightness in your forearms, a little fatigue in your forearms, and that'll be good. And then shake that out like that. All right, cool. Now, shoulder rolls, rolling both of our shoulders back at the same time. And remember, when you're standing, to pay attention to your feet so that your feet are pointing straight ahead. We don't want any sort of duck-footed stance here. Toes straight ahead. This is an intentional hour where we put our attention on to our physical body and helping it be in the best biomechanical positions that we are able to get it in. And one of these is having our feet pointing straight ahead. 1 hour a week is not enough to make changes, but it's maybe enough to remember to pay attention to that during the rest of the week. Okay, so I switched to doing shoulder rolls, both shoulders to the front. And now alternating shoulder is going backwards. And then forward. All right, good. Shake that out. Just widen your stance just a little bit, more like shoulder widths apart. But again, toes pointing forward. And then we're going to do a few side bends here. All right, good. And now we're going to drop down to hands and knees. So your hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips, and we're doing cat and cow. So cow is this sway back position where you're accentuating to a certain amount your lower lumbar curve here. Put my hand. So you have your natural curve in your lower back, and you're just sort of accentuating that and lifting your chest. So you're trying to put your back in what's called extension. And then you switch to the cat, which is your classic Halloween cat, right? With the arched back, black cat look. And this is flexion. So we are moving our spine through flexion and extension. Nice and gently, not overdoing it. Again, just taking what the body is willing to give us and slowly expanding that through the motion. And this is why it's important. That is why it's important to do this every day. Because it's the frequency as much as the intensity that helps you improve the condition of your joints, improve your range of motion, increase your flexibility, and to help you just feel good. And a healthy spine is super important for feeling good. All right, excellent. Now, we're going to do a shoulder exercise here, shoulder push-ups. So you keep your elbows locked out, and you're just pushing with your shoulders. So your chest is, or your upper body is going up and down, but just with the movement of your shoulders. And this is helping with keeping your scapula nice and loose so that they move over the outside of the rib cage. Yeah, good. And now we're going to, if you spread your knees just a little bit wider than hip widths apart, you can point your toes for this, or you can curl them over. We're going to rock back and forth. And when you're rocking back and forth, one thing is you want to keep your head up and looking forward. Imagine like an infant crawling around. They keep their head up as they're doing that. And then the other thing is when you push back into the squat position here, you want to make sure that your lower back, here, let me turn just a little bit here, that this lower back maintains its neutral position. So at some point, your back is this lower portion of your back is going to start to round. You only want to go as far as you can before that begins to happen. You want to try and increase that range of motion in your hips. And one thing that you can do is you can squeeze your hip flexors here, which pull the front of your pelvis towards the top of your thigh. And so that will help hold that spine in position. And just rock back and forth, nice and gently. Just push it a little bit so that you might get just a little bit more motion down in there. This squat movement pattern is so important to our health. And this is a good way to practice it, unweighted. Okay, now sit back in this position, push back as far as you can go without letting that back round, and then take your head while looking straight ahead, nod up and down a few times. All right, that's good. Excellent. Shake that out. And now come back to standing. We're going to do a few hip exercises here. So the first one, we're going to do this from the side. So we're going to work on our pelvic tilting. So here I am moving my pelvis back and forth. And so what I have here is I'm sort of squeezing my abs. It's this little hip thrust, squeezing my abs, and I'm tilting my pelvis to the back. And then I push my butt out like that, and I'm tilting my pelvis to the front. We just are going back and forth. So what's not happening is my upper body is not moving. A lot of people, they're sort of frozen. Their upper body and pelvis are sort of frozen together. So when they move at the pelvis, the upper body moves with them. What we want to do is we want to get the pelvis moving separately from the upper body. Now what happens is that the lumbar spine, when you're doing this, the lumbar spine flattens a little bit when you posterior tilt, and it accentuates when you anterior tilt. And this anterior tilt, you've probably seen a lot of people walk around like this, right? Where they sort of, it just looks a little off. It looks like their butt is sticking out, and they're kind of, they just look stiff. And what's happened is these hip flexors have gotten tight and have pulled the pelvis into this anterior tilt position, and it puts a lot of strain on the lower back. So this particular pelvic movement action helps with releasing that, and working on stretching hip flexors is part of the process there, and strengthening the glutes. So if you strengthen the glutes counteract the hip flexors, and they help keep the pelvis in its proper alignment. Okay. So people who have bad backs often have this anterior tilt. Okay, so then from the side, that's tilting the pelvis forward and backwards. You can also do it side to side. So you're just pushing out the hip and just moving, getting a nice stretch on the outside of the hip here, and your pelvis is tilting this way and that way, like that. All right, cool. And then just hip circles. We did a few of these earlier. We're just going to do them again. When our hips are tight, it forces us to grab mobility from other areas of the body. What happens is a lot of times that mobility comes from the lower back. There's a theory of joint mobility / stability in which the joints of the body alternate. So the foot is meant to be a stable platform, and then your ankle is a mobile joint. Your knee is meant to be a stable joint. Your hips are meant to be a mobile joint. Your lower back is meant to be a stable joint. And your chest, your thoracic cavity is meant to be a mobile joint, and so on and so forth. So what happens is when our hips are stiff, it forces our lower back to have to flex, be more mobile than it's supposed to be. And same thing like with our chest. If our upper back is stiff, we have a stiff thoracic spine, then it forces our lower spine to be more mobile, and you get a lot of back pain because of that. All right. So that's why we like to pay attention to these hips. Now we're going to do hip circles. So now we're going to the outside. And if you need something for balance, so you can grab a chair or something like that, and you're standing on the supporting leg is straight. So the straight line from shoulder, hip, knee to ankle. We talk about this a lot. We don't want our hips to be out here and have like this kind of curve from shoulder to hip to knee to ankle. We want to be nice and straight. And we go to the outside, and you can do this straight legged as well. It requires, there's just more leverage that way. So it's a harder doing it with a straight leg. And then go the opposite direction. Good. Now we'll switch legs. Again, the supporting leg, foot straight ahead, leg straight line between shoulder, knees, and hips. Now go in the opposite direction. Awesome. Shake that out. And while we have the chair here, and we're focusing on these, on the hips, we're going to do our leg swings. So standing, again, standing leg, nice and straight line, no hip out like this, nice and straight line, and toes pointing forward. And we're just swinging our leg back and forth, nice and gentle here. As you warm up things and things like that, don't want to be pulling your hamstring inadvertently because you start by swinging too much. Do about 10 or 12 of these. Really want to do about 4 sets of these, 4 sets of like 10 to 12, and per leg. And then switch sides. Again, toes pointing straight ahead. Nice and easy swinging of the legs. This not only works the hip joint, but it also gently massages the lower back. The lower back sort of goes through a little bit of flexion and extension as you're doing this, and that's good. So it's not that you don't ever want to put your lower back into flexion or extension. It's just that it has a small range of motion, and it's meant to be a stable joint. So doing light exercises like this will, help keep it healthy and help with the range of motion it's supposed to have. But then when you're doing other exercises such as squats and deadlifts, where you're supposed to be moving at the hips and not the lower back, you are improving your hip mobility, so you will be able to do those exercises without compromising your lower back. Now we're going to go from the side, do side leg swings. So I'm facing the chair. You can do your hands on a wall, and then you're just swinging your leg through like so. This is actually really good for your ankles as well. And again, 10 to 12 of these. As always, I don't usually count. I just swing them, and then that feels about right. And then I switch legs. Again, feet straight ahead. And again, we're maintaining this nice straight line from shoulder to hip to knee to ankle. And we have movement in the hip, of course, because we're doing this. And we have movement at the ankle. But as much as we can, we keep that straight line from shoulder to hip to knee to ankle. Yeah, very good. Awesome. While we're focusing on the hips, we're going to do a hip flexor stretch. So the hip flexors, again, is this group of muscles. There's like 5 of them that run along the front of the leg here that control the hip flexing movement. So the hip flexing movement is when you lift your leg like this, and there's muscles that get your leg to level, and then there's muscles that pull it up even higher. And so those, we want to make sure that we're stretching all those legs, all those muscles. So this hip flexor stretch is a good one for that. So you kneel down, 1 foot flat on the ground, you're kneeling on the knee, and you're pushing with your chest upright, pushing your hips forward together, not twisting the hips aren't twisted, they're moving together, and you feel this stretch along the front here. And these stretches you can hold, you can do sets of like 30 seconds and 30 to 60 seconds and do a few sets of these. And yesterday I did a walk run with my dog, and it was a lot more downhill than I'm used to. And so my quads were a little sore this morning. So you can pick up your foot as I'm doing here. And this will also include a little bit of a quad stretch as well. And then you just want to keep pushing forward here with this stretch and feel that stretch on the inside of, or on the front of your hip. And then switch legs. And so you can start with one and just start to get this stretch going on this hip flexor region. So if you bend over, you'll lose the stretch. You can even put your hands in the small of your back and gently push on your hips forward to help improve this stretch. Now, if you have bad knees or this is uncomfortable, you can get a pillow and put it underneath your knees for that. And then I'm picking up my foot to get a little bit of a quad stretch in there at the same time as well. Now, if you like this stretching and you want more of it, or you want to like focus on some individual stretches, I do have a YouTube channel, Strong for Life, and I have videos on there that go more detail into different stretches and how to do them and variations and things like that. So you can check that out if you like. And put together, like if you know that you have tight hips or you have tight this, you can put together different types of stretches for that as well. All right, good. Shake that out. And we're going to do 2 more hip stretches here. Seems like I'm got a good focus on the hips today. I'm going to turn this around. So here we're doing lateral squats, and use this as a stretch. You could use this as an exercise too. So with the lateral squat, you want your toes, your feet pointed straight ahead, like we talk about a lot. And your feet, the wider your feet are, the easier this is. And so 3 to 4 feet apart, and then keeping your chest up, squat down onto one of the legs, and then really think about imagining that you're trying to pull this straight leg out of its socket, and you'll feel tension along the front of or the inside of your thigh, and sit back and down into this chest up, drop down. So you're sort of pushing your weight down into the heel of this foot, and then switch sides. Same thing. Really feel this stretch on the inside of your thigh. Work on keeping that chest up, not letting your chest fall forward, but keeping it up. Really trying to activate those extensor muscles in the back of your back, the extensor muscles of your back. And sit down into that squat and do it again on the other side. Pulling on that. Yeah. Again, switch. Chest up, sit back, maintain that neutral spine. All right, good. And then shake it out just a second here, and we're going to get back in that lateral squat position. But this time when we sink down to this onto one leg, we're going to rotate the toes of the straight leg up. Again, working on keeping that upper back flat, not letting it round forward, and then switch. So this is just shifting the stretch a little bit. It's also, I feel it move more up into my hips while still feeling a stretch in the inside of my thigh. All right, awesome. Shake that out. Moving down, we're going to do a calf stretch here. Now, the calf, you have two major muscles in your calf, and the one that gets nice and tight is the soleus. So this one, you step forward. I'm doing my left leg right at the moment. So you step forward with your right leg and you sort of drop down and just push your knee forward. This is one way to do it. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Push that knee forward and just feel the stretch down in the lower half of your thigh, or sorry, of your calf. And just hold that. Really thinking about driving the knee forward with this stretch. Okay, good. And then switch legs. So now I'm doing my right leg, and you can see I'm just sort of supporting some of my weight on my left leg so I don't fall over, but I'm really trying to push this knee forward while maintaining my heel on the ground. You can do this. I'm going to grab this stool here. I'm just going to demonstrate this for a second. You can do this with, again, near a wall. And so you can kind of get your foot away from the wall, holding your heel, and then just stretching like that and trying to touch the knee to the wall. And you'll feel this stretch again here in your soleus muscle. And that's the one that really controls the angle, how much angle you get in your ankle, and is important for your squatting, and is interestingly enough, if you like mountain bike riding, the more you're able to drop your heel in mountain bike riding, the better it is for control and stuff like that. So this is actually an excellent exercise for doing that as well, for improving mountain bike riding. Okay, so we didn't do any squats. So we're going to do a couple of squats here just so that we work that action. So we're going to have our hips, our feet about, hips to shoulder width apart. We're just going to drop down into a squat Lift your hands up again, thinking about keeping your chest up here. And then again, down. Each time trying to go just a little bit lower, pushing your knees out so they're out over your toes. You don't want your knees to cave in. Always pushing the knees out, chest up, squeezing those back muscles to help you go down, keep your chest up. Excellent. All right, shake that out. So we're going to do a couple of a breathing exercise here. You're going to have your feet about fist width apart, toes pointing straight ahead. And then you're just going to roll over like so. Try to touch the ground or as far as down as you can go. Breathe in through your nose here. Then come up. Breathe out through your mouth. What you're trying to do is bend at each one of your vertebrae. So breathe in through your nose. It's nice and relaxed. And then come up. One vertebra at a time until you're standing straight up. Bring your arms up and breathe out. And then fold over one vertebra at a time and go down. Breathe in through your nose and then rise up and breathe out through your mouth. Awesome. Shake that out. And we have 13 minutes left. And we're going to end. Hold on, excuse me. We are going to end with, here's my dog. She wants to go outside. You want to go out? All right, here you go. Come on. We're going to end with our sun salutation here. Okay, so hands together. I'll walk you through it. Follow along. Swing the arms behind. Up overhead. Arch your back backwards. Then fold at the waist. If you have to, bend your knees to get your fingers on the ground. Step back with your right foot. Lift your chest. Breathe in there. Step back with your left foot. Push up into downward dog. Breathe out through your mouth. Breathe out here. Come forward onto your stomach. Point your toes. Lift your chest. Think about there's like a headlight on your chest, and you really want to point it straight ahead or even up into the sky a little bit. Breathe in there. Push back, downward dog. Left foot forward. Lift your chest. Breathe in. Right foot forward. Breathe out. Stand up. So that's one rep. I think we're just going to do, with the time, we might be doing 4 or 6 of these. We'll see. Arms back. Overhead. Fold over. Step back with your left foot this time. Lunging on the right side here. Chest up. Breathe in. Step back with your right foot. Push up into downward dog. Come forward onto your stomach. Point your toes. Lift your chest. Push back into downward dog. Right foot forward. Lift your chest into the lunge. Sink into this lunge. Left foot forward. Breathe out. Stand up. Okay, bring your feet together. Breathe in. Fold over. Breathe out. Right foot back. Chest up. Breathe in. Left foot back. into downward dog, breathe out. Come forward onto your stomach, point your toes, lift your chest. Breathe in, push back into downward dog, breathe out. Left foot forward, chest up, breathe in. Right foot forward, breathe out. Stand up, readjust. Right side, breathe in. Hold over, breathe out. Left foot back, chest up. Step back into downward dog. Really push away with your shoulders. Sink into that, lift your hips. Come forward onto your stomach. Point your toes. Lift your chest. Breathe in. Push back into downward dog. Breathe out. Right foot forward. Chest up. Breathe in. Left foot forward. Breathe out. Stand up. And okay, I'm going to shake that out. Before we move on to the Hindu push-ups, we're going to throw in our world's greatest stretch here so that we work a little bit of our thoracic mobility. So get into this lunge position. Put your knee on the ground. The first thing we're going to do is put the knee on the ground. We're going to lean to the side like this. To make this more difficult, you can do this without your knee on the ground. You'll even feel more of a stretch in your hip flexor there. But if you need your knee on the ground for balance, totally fine. And then twist to the side. And now with your knee, then drop your left elbow inside your left knee, like so. So you're really dropping down on the inside, feeling a big stretch across the hip flexor and of your right leg, and the inner thigh. You're feeling a stretch on the inner thigh of your left leg. And then reach up like so with your right hand, and then bring your right hand down, and then do the same. Reach up with your left hand in the other direction like that. Okay, good. Now step forward with your right foot and step back with your left foot. You're going to drop down. You can have your knee on the ground here again and twisting or bending to the side. All right, good. Now drop your right elbow down inside your right knee. Yeah, good. Hold that for just a little bit, and then take your left arm and raise it up. Twist up and open. Working on thoracic mobility here. Good. Hold it, and then drop your left hand down, and then open up with your right arm. Like that. Good. And then step forward with your left foot. Okay, shake that out. Awesome. Now we're going to do Hindu push-ups. So drop down to your knees. You're going to push up into your downward dog position. This is the most difficult one. I'll show you the three. Most difficult one. You scoop down and up into upward dog. Back into downward dog. Scoop in and up like this. Okay. The next easier version is to come into a push-up position and then drop down and then go into upward dog. Back to downward dog, into push-up position, drop down, and then into upward dog. The easiest one is to drop to your knees, come down to your stomach, and then into upward dog. Again, back to downward dog, drop to your knees, down onto your stomach, and then into upward dog like that. We're just going to do 4 of these right now. So let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, push back into downward dog and walk your feet towards your hands. Good. Bend your knees and stand up. And here we are, the last 5 minutes. And I have to take off my sweatshirt. Okay, so Hindu squats are next. So stand with your, I'll demonstrate assisted, unassisted, and then assisted version. So stand with your feet about hip widths apart, toes pointed out just a little bit. You drop down into the squat here. So your calf and thighs are smashed into each other. You're up on your toes. Thighs are parallel to the ground. Chest is upright. So you're basically forming a 90-degree angle with your upper body and your thighs. We don't want to be leaning forward like that. You want chest up like so. And in the bottom of the squat, your hands are behind you like this. And then you swing up into the stance. And it's just this rhythmic. Sorry, I got a little hair sticking out here somewhere. So it's just this rhythmic pumping action like this. Okay? So that's unassisted. I'm going to use this stick to demonstrate the assisted, but you could use a chair, a bookshelf. This is, you could do broom handle, table, whatever. I like the broom handle or the stick version just because you can, it's more easy to get a nice position for your hands. You just find one that's ideal for you, and then you drop down, and then you're in this down position. You can pull on the handle to help you come up. So we're just going to do 8 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, good. And next, and maybe last exercise is our thoracic bridge. So we do this one sitting down. We do this one seated, not seated, seated or sitting down. Feet flat on the ground, knees bent, about 90-degree angle. Your arms are behind you. Your weight is supported in your palms with your fingers pointing away from you, pointing towards the back wall in my case here. And then you lift your hips. Really squeeze your glute muscles. This is a thoracic bridge. And then drop down. Now, for some, your shoulders might be too tight to do this, or your forearms or arms might be too tight. So if that's the case for you, totally fine. Just straighten your legs and scooch out until you feel a good stretch, and then just sit there in that stretch. And slowly you'll gain the range of motion and flexibility to do the full thoracic bridge. So let's begin. Just 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, awesome. So we're going to do the one thing we haven't really paid attention to today is stretching the hamstring. So one way to do this is to just stand with your feet separated like so, and then just lean forward over the front leg and feel a stretch in the back of the hamstring. So the hamstring, it doesn't come from bending at the waist. It comes from moving your pelvis. The hamstring is attached to the top of the pelvis and to the back of the knee on like your tibia. And so by keeping your knee straight and bending at the hip, pushing your hip back, you'll feel this stretch in the back of your thigh in your hamstring. So just do that, really concentrating on pushing the hip back and hinging at the hip to feel that stretch. And you can bend over in your upper body, but it's not necessary. You can keep your upper body flat for this and feel a nice stretch there. And then just hold it and then switch legs. Again, pushing the hip back and really flex all the motion is coming at the hip. The other way to do this is you can clasp your hands behind your back and do basically essentially a good morning. And this is doing it at the same time. And then you feel a stretch right here. So you're kind of pushing your hips back. If you need balance, you can put your hands out in front like this. I like doing it with my hands clasped behind my back. Head up, just push back into this. And you can sort of flex your knees just a little bit. And you'll feel the stretch move around, and you'll kind of find the ideal spot for yourself where you need to be. And hold that. You can even tighten your quads a little bit, trying to squeeze your quads, and that'll intensify that stretch. And then when you're done, bend your knees and stand up and shake it out. All right. So there we go. Just about an hour, maybe a little over, of morning movement and mobility. Really did a fairly full body action, stretching, movement, mobility session there, whatever it was. Couldn't get that one out of the mouth. And so I hope you have an awesome Saturday. Monday's Memorial Day, so certainly will most likely not be doing this on Monday. But I hope you have a great long weekend. If you have something fun planned, get out and enjoy the weather. If you have nice weather, it's supposed to be raining here, so I don't know what the deal is for that. Hopefully a barbecue, time with friends and family, but be sure to remember all those fallen service men and women who have died defending the freedom and the quality of life that we get to experience here in the United States. Take a moment to remember their sacrifice for us. And with that, again, thanks for being here. Thanks, Instagram viewers. Thanks, Facebook Live and YouTube Live viewers and replay viewers for catching this. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. Hit the like to let me know that you liked it, and we'll see you next time, Tuesday. Okay? All right. Have a great weekend. Cheers. Signing off. Takes me a little bit.